And we are live. Hello! Welcome to Off the Cuff. This is a live show. It's like a Q&A format. I need to come up with like a consistent intro for these things because I don't really know what to say besides what it is. But my name's Ben Campbell. I'm a self-improvement coach. I help mainly with Dotal and
Live. Hello.
Oh, I'm hearing an echo. Hold on, is that coming from you, Anton?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is.
it was my fault. It's okay.
All right, let me restart. Hello, welcome to Off the Cuff Live. My name is Ben Campbell. I'm a social and dating coach. I can also help a little bit with productivity. This is a Q&A format live stream where people go into the Discord server, which is discord.gg/self-improvement. And you can ask questions in there or call into the show and we'll answer them live. I am joined by my friend and former client, Anton Toya. Say hello.
Hello, guys.
Who is tuned in live from Thailand, and we'll just jump straight in. I think you have some questions you want to ask.
Yes, I do. The first one is from a conversation I had last week with one of my friends, and she's a girl, and I was like, she's like having difficulty to find good dating partners because as a girl, she has to kind of be passive in a way. And I said, like, yeah, you don't have to. You can also actively approach guys. And then when I said this to her, like, she went, no, it's like, because sometimes when I do this, I don't know, I think she did like once or twice, and the guy, he didn't leave afterwards. Like, he was, even though she didn't want him to, and she told him off, he basically kept being around her, and it was like super creepy and weird.
Right.
And
so she approached a guy and realized after the fact that she wasn't so interested, but because she'd expressed interest in him, he's like chasing her around like a fucking puppy.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And as a guy, you know, I never had this problem occur to me because, like, if you approach a girl, it's just like not rubbish, you say, okay, thank you, and you walk off. But as a girl, and if the guy is chasing you in a way, what would your advice be to this particular example?
I mean, I'll talk first about the differences, and then I'll answer that specific question because I actually had a conversation with a female friend of mine quite recently about exactly this. Like, she's an attractive girl, and she's like a decent, well put together, intelligent person. She has a lot going on for her, but she's finding it difficult dating at the moment, as I think a lot of women and a lot of men are. And she's like, why can't I find good guys? Like, I'm on the dating apps and I'm going out and she's putting herself in positions for guys to talk to her, but no one's coming and approaching her, and like the guys she meets on the dating apps are a bit shit. She's going, what the fuck? And my advice to her was the same as you gave to your friend. It's like, well, it sucks, and as men we are the initiators, but you also have to put some effort in to get the things that you want. Like, if you can, it's a nice fantasy to be like, oh, well, I'm just going to sit around and a guy's going to come to me. But as a woman, like, if you want to go out and find good men in the current day and age, you are going to have to put some work into it as well, unfortunately. And I'll get into that in a second. And she didn't like that because it's like, well, I don't feel like that's my responsibility. And I do subscribe to that traditional gender role things, that as a man it's our job to make the approach, like as well, maybe not as a man, but the masculine, which is generally the man. It's the masculine's job in a relationship to initiate and to push and to make the decisions and to be the like outward force, and then it's the feminine as the receptive force to either accept or reject. And so most men feel the compulsion, if they want to date, to go out and talk to people, whether they do or not. They realize it's their responsibility, and most women feel like men should be coming and talking to them. It's nature. The problem is, it used to be the case that we would do that, but with the advent of like social media and dating apps and things like this, we've lost as men our ability to overcome that sense of fear, because there are things in our way that give us like an easier alternative, even if it doesn't actually give better results. For example, Tinder. If you're going on Tinder and you're swiping around, it removes even though you might not get your desires met that way, it removes the impetus to actually go out and find it, because you're using this easier thing instead. It gives you like a layer of protection that you think you can get results from. And so less men are actually going out and talking to people because because it's a scary thing to do and they have an easier alternative. And this is causing problems for everybody, because men are like, oh, why can't I find dates? And then women are like, why are there no men talking to me? And everybody feels bad as a result. And it also creates a sort of imbalanced dating economy, if you will. I don't like talking about it in these kind of like red pilly terms, but like the dating economy has become fucked up because there's just hundreds of men going after with the women, and the women are picking the top guys because it's like we've created systems in order to fuck our dating lives up, basically. So on Tinder, it's like the bottom 50% of women are like the top 10 or 20% of men are going after all of the women, and then the women are just picking that top, and then all of the rest of the guys are left out, and then all of the girls on it as well are like, why are there so many creepy fucking dudes in my DMs? Because we've lost our social ability, and this is harming people on both sides. And yeah, unfortunately, like as a woman or as a man, the advice that I would give to get what you want in dating is exactly the same. Even though it is the male responsibility, if as a woman you want to go out and get the things that you want, you are going to have to put some effort in this day and age, until it comes such a time as things go full circle and guys realize they need to take that responsibility again. I'm not sure if you can hear my washing machine in the background, but that should stop in a second. And so it's an unfortunate position that my friend and your friend are now in, where they have to put in the effort, even though as a woman they're sitting there, and maybe their self-worth is a little bit lowered because like, why are no guys coming after me if they're not on the internet or whatever? And in this scenario, you're saying that she's gone to this guy, and she's put some effort in, and now that guy's chasing after her like a puppy dog. And in that scenario, I mean, there's no... The only real advice I could, like, did she express to him that she wasn't interested after the fact, or was she just like expecting him to take the hint? Because that's an important distinction.
Oh yes, she did it very clearly. She said.
Right. I mean, I would say that this happened because maybe this guy is, as a lot of men are, even the somewhat attractive ones that you think are getting results, kind of a little bit desperate. Like I remember a distinct example of the same kind of thing where I was at a college party when I was like 19 or whatever. And this girl, I was known as being like, even back then, I was known as being interested in all this dating stuff and knowing a little bit about it. And this girl came up to me and she's like, see that guy over there? And there's this like big muscular blonde guy, very attractive. And she's like, I really like that guy, but I don't think... like he's not talking to me, maybe he's not interested, blah 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 blah. And I could see, just like you can pick up on these things if you're socially aware. I could see that this guy was, even though he was posturing and he's like all big and macho and he was like 6'4" or something, very attractive guy. I could see that he was a little bit insecure, and he's like looking around, he's standing in the corner of the party, like surrounded by a couple of other guy friends, not really mingling. And so I just said to her, like, look, if you're interested in him, go and talk to him and flirt with him. And just see what happens. She's like, no, I couldn't do that. And I'm like, trust me. She's like, I couldn't ever be interested in me. I'm like, trust me, just see what happens. And she goes up and talks to him. And not 2 minutes later, she's holding his hand, like leading him out of the room to go to their bedroom, or her bedroom. And then she comes back 10 minutes later and she's like, oh my God, this guy's so fucking clingy. Like, I need to get rid of him, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's sort of the same thing has happened in that scenario. And basically the guy is starved for attention, or starved, even though you look and he's like, oh, this attractive guy. If as a man, you're not putting in the work to get what you want, like there's this incel mentality of, oh, like all the attractive men are always getting the women. And it's only if they're actually putting in the effort, which some of them are. Like, no matter who you are, if you put in the effort, you can get the results that you want. But as guys, most of us aren't putting in the effort. And so you have scenarios like this where the woman actually gives some effort and then the guy just like latches on. And so the advice that I would give to this girl, I mean, there isn't really any good advice besides to just try and separate yourself from the situation. If the guy's going to chase after you, like, you have to set boundaries and try to really push the guy away. And it's unfortunate to be in that situation. It's really uncomfortable, and it is the guy's fault. But without fixing the underlying problem that exists, which is this disparity and sort of disconnection in the dating ecosystem, if you will, I don't really know if there is a fix to that. The only thing I would say is to not let that discourage her from taking action in the future, because there will be plenty of guys that don't behave like that. Like, some people are just shitheads, and it's easier as a man to go and be making approaches because there's no physical threat to you. And as long as you're aware of your actions and you're doing things in a nice and safe and honest way, it's far easier for you to remain safe and to make everybody feel safe in those scenarios, because we're like the physically dominant of the two genders. We're generally larger and more physically imposing and more dangerous in that respect. And it's generally us that do initiate and chase. So if a guy's doing that, it can be very uncomfortable for the woman. Whereas if a woman's chasing you, it's very, like, you might not like it, it might make you uncomfortable, but you're unlikely to feel threatened by it. And it is a problem that exists at the moment. Even when men are, like, all the pickup guys, they go and approach girls and they don't take no for an answer and they're being shitheads about it. It's really a problem with the men. and I can't give any advice besides try and spread the good word and change things a little bit and have more guys making good approaches and understanding their responsibility and getting their needs met so they don't feel desperate enough to be going and doing this. There's no advice I can really give besides the obvious stuff like, stand your ground and hold your boundaries and all of that. I don't know. It's a fucked up, messy situation, and it comes from a systemic issue. Does that explain it?
Yeah, sometimes you see these. Yeah, I told her to use pepper spray or a taser, but I don't think this is the.
Was he that aggressive? I thought you were just talking about like, oh, this guy's just following around at a party or something. Yeah, if they're getting really aggressive,
yeah,
like
yeah.
seek other, better, bigger men to scare him off. Like I see all these like women's self-defense classes and shit, and yes, it does. Like if you're a girl and you're really good at jiu-jitsu or whatever, and you can pop a guy's arm out of his socket, great. But most of these self-defense classes, just hit him in the nose. Like it's just gonna make people fucking angry. There is a massive disparity in like physical capability generally. Obviously it's a generalization, but and I think the best solution to these things is to make men more aware of how they're coming across and make men more capable of making good decisions and make men more responsible for not only their actions but the actions of the other men around them, so that we create a safe, because it's our job as men to create a safe environment for everybody else and to provide resources and to take physical care of things, and we're not doing that anymore, in my opinion.
Yeah, and also in the pickup community, for example, you see these videos coming by like what to do if she says she has a boyfriend, and it's like it's so weird. Just walk off, and it's so simple, and be polite about it.
It's like people teaching like, oh, if she says she has a boyfriend, there's a good chance she's lying to you, and so you should trick her and be like, oh, well, what's his name, and try and catch her off guard, and then keep pushing. And there is a lot of that, just keep pushing. It's like if she says she has a boyfriend, even if she's lying to you, she's still saying no to you. Like, just leave her the fuck alone, because there's always good, and it comes down to that mentality of just make it work, and it's the same thing that drives people in social situations to try and make everybody like them. It's like you want the result that you want, but the thing to realize is that in order to get the result that you want, it's far better to take a step back and understand it as a compatibility thing, and just try and find the people that are all, because there's always going to be people that if you approach them and say hello and try and flirting with them, they're going to be receptive to that. So just find those people. Especially if you live in abundance, then it's so easy to just walk away from the situation. Let's talk about that, like living in abundance, because people might not understand what that means. It's like if you have a quote unquote abundance mentality, it's the idea that you believe no matter what, there are endless opportunities for you. And so if something doesn't work out, there's something else for you. And this can be really great. And the way that you cultivate this is by taking opportunities and going out and finding opportunities. So putting in the work to actually put yourself in front of people and to get dates and make friends and all this stuff, so that you understand that you have the capability to make things work for you. Because one of the main problems I see, especially in the dating scene and with friendships as well, but especially in the dating scene, is that a lot of guys, they just take what, like they settle for relationships, and women as well, they settle for relationships that are worse, that they just aren't compatible, because they don't believe that they can get anything else, because they're too afraid to put in the work to do so. And once you cultivate that mentality of like, oh, there are endless opportunities out there if I just get over my fear and actually go start talking to people and look for compatible people, it changes your mentality on all of it, and it makes you less pressured to, like, I've had women come into my apartment and we're getting naked and we're about to have sex, and then they go, I don't think I can do this. And I go, oh shit, yeah, okay. And we get dressed and then sit down and have a cup of tea and keep talking. And then they leave. And they're like, wow, I really respect that you respected my boundaries. I'm like, what the fuck did you expect me to do? Like, you've changed your mind. That's completely fine. You're not comfortable doing this right now. What, you think I'm going to like attack you? You know, I was horrified. But it's like, there are a lot of really fucking pushy guys out there that won't take no for an answer, and they'll keep pushing until the girl's like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to do this. And it's horrible. And it comes from that lack of abundance. You're like, I have to take what I can get that's in front of me right now, because I don't think I can get it elsewhere. And so when you realize that there's endless opportunities for you, you start behaving like a better person, and it avoids all of these situations like the one we were just talking about with your friend and my friend. But it can also be, it can go the other way, where it's like, oh, well, I have this abundance mentality, and you always have this grass is greener on the other side thing, where no matter what you have, you're always looking for more. And this is a symptom of the human condition, where we have this thing inside of us that always wants more. But at some point in your life, you need to decide that you have it good, and come to the conclusion that you should be grateful, and to stop seeking that, because otherwise you'll never be truly fulfilled, I don't think. And we've both experienced, everybody experiences this. Like, you achieve a goal that you've been wanting to achieve for a while, and it makes you happy for a short period of time, and then you're like, oh, fuck. And that can be like the dark side of the abundance mentality, I guess, is people are like, well, I can do better no matter what, and then they fuck up good things as a result of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And there is like you can understand this theory of abundance on a theoretical level, but I think you have to
experience it.
See it and experience. Like, once you experience it, then it's so beautiful. And I had it like the first time when I was with you and Sophia, where I couldn't like plan my dates because it was just too many. And it's such a cool feeling, because it makes you feel so like independent.
It takes the pressure off.
Yes.
It takes the pressure
off. And it shows you that it's all possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was so easy as well. Like, we didn't do that many approaches. Like, we just went over
we were out for like
usual days, and then
exactly. Yeah, you were maybe 20 minutes. Like, one of the people you spoke to in the gym, one of them, it's like, we're just walking down the street. It's like, once you start taking opportunity, and you're like, Anton was here for a week. For the people listening, he was here in Sofia for a week, staying with me, and we're doing, like, we're going out for lunch, we're going to the gym, we're doing some exercises in the morning, doing like cold baths, and there's a lot of like theory stuff in the course that we were doing. And throughout the course of the week, at the end of it, he's like got 2 days left, and he's like, well, I have 3 or 4 people in my phone that I could potentially meet. Like, he's having scheduling conflicts with the amount of abundance that he now has in his dating life. And it's like, well, fuck, what do I do? Yeah, and that's just in a week. It's in a week of actually trying and putting. And it was not even like we were trying. It's not like the boot camp that we did, the 2-day thing where you're literally spending 8 hours just going and talking to people. This was just we'll go about our normal daily life and go out and talk to people and whatever. And as we're on the way to go get a drink at the place at the end of the street, or as we're on the way to the gym, it's like, oh, this person seems cool, and then you go and talk to them. It's like, yeah, you can have my number, of course. Yeah, and then you end up with a scheduling conflict, which is hilarious. Well, I'm gonna go to a question from the community, because this guy watched the pickup video, and then he watched the last week's live stream, and then he joined the community and asked a question. And so, Sasha, if you're watching this, hello. Hello, found your YouTube channel after watching the pickup artist video. Thoroughly enjoyed the live streams. Good job. Thank you. Wonder if you have any advice on how to get over being broken up with. I find myself dreading talking to or trusting women. For context, I was dating a girl overseas, and we met up many times. It was going great, and I thought we were on the same path, but then she ended it out of nowhere. I can't help feeling angry and like my time was wasted, and she's not who I thought she was. So there's betrayal mixed in there. Part of me wants more closure, but I feel like it's easier to move on if she is the villain, if that makes sense. Okay. So you had like a overseas quote unquote long distance relationship with this girl. She decided it wasn't working for her anymore. She broke up with you. You now feel a little bit betrayed. You're angry at her. You still have like an emotional connection to her. You want to feel better about this, but it's easier for you to move on if you feel angry. I guess, let me think about where I want to start with this, because there's like a few topics intermingled with this that I could go into. And I guess the first is the anger thing, because I've experienced that a few times before, where relationships have ended, and I'm not the bitter type. I tend to not hold a grudge with people, and my mentality is like, well, if I love this person, I want them to go and, even if it hurts me, my mentality is that if they find someone better for them, then fine, that's life, that's the way of it. They're happier, I'm happier, and part of it is viewing it as a compatibility thing. So this relationship ended because of a fundamental lack of compatibility, whether that be the distance between you or other factors that were in with the relationship. It ended because of incompatibility. If you were really compatible and things were working out, and you solved conflict in the same way, and you saw each other as much as you wanted to, and all of this stuff was working, you'd still be in the relationship. So rather than viewing it as like, because I think what's happening in the moment is you're seeing her leaving you, and you're going, well, that means I'm not good enough, and this and that. This is what a lot of people do in breakups. It's not about you at all. If people end relationships with you, it's even if they're saying, oh, you did this, you did that, which isn't, I don't think is happening in your case, but maybe. It's all just compatibility. That if things were more aligned, it would work. So don't take it so personally. First of all, even if she's saying mean things about you, which you haven't said, but if she is, don't take it personally. Recognize it's a compatibility thing, and rather than feeling it's far easier, like you say, to get over someone if you're angry at them and if you hate them. And I think fundamentally this is something that most people do for most of their lives. It's an avoidance of negative feeling. Anger is a more powerful emotion than grief, and it's an emotion that's easier to do things with. It's something that can motivate you. It's something that can pull things. And it can be healthy to channel grief into anger if it helps you move forward, but channeling that anger at another person rather than the situation itself is not necessarily good. So for example, if you're angry, rather than being angry at her, you could view this as, I am angry at the fact that this relationship ended and that I wasn't in a place to be with someone compatible enough and that I now feel bad. And then you use that anger and you turn it inward, and not being angry at yourself, but angry at the situation, and use that as motivation to go and try harder and go meet different people and propel your life forward. But recognizing also that grief is not an emotion that you should necessarily avoid. All emotions are they exist to tell you something, and they exist to as like a they're signals of things that are going on in your life, and often they're created by our thoughts, but sometimes they're created by external things. And I feel like it's important to recognize that everything in life that is good comes with an equal and opposite bad, and vice versa. And you're not always going to experience that, but even if you have the perfect life and the perfect partner, and it's an amazing thing, and you settle down together and you have the ideal number of kids and everything goes amazing and you grow old and your life is just ideal, one of you is going to die first, and it's going to feel really horrible for the other one. Like a tremendous amount of suffering is going to incur as a part of that. And you can view this in one of two ways. You can go, why is life so cruel, and why am I suffering, and why do I feel so bad, and all of this, and you can start lamenting your existence and pushing against it, which often what it really does, you're not actually pushing it outward, you're pushing it inward, and then it manifests in other ways like depression and physical illness and stress and trauma, and then you have to deal with it years down the line if it finally comes up, if you let it, right? Or when you experience these emotions, you can go, this is a necessary and healthy consequence of me having had something to lose in the first place. I went through such joyous emotions that now I am experiencing the pain that is the relative partner of that. It's the other side of the coin. And so you can treat that as the cost that you have incurred for all the good times. And when you do this, not only does it not affect you as much because it doesn't hurt as much, it also passes quicker. So you don't dwell on it. You don't go, I have to feel like this and like focus on it, because you end up going into that spiral. You just allow it to be and move on with your life. And you can sit in introspection and think about things and try and like parse things out in a healthy way if you want to, but don't dwell on it too much, and don't allow it to like overwhelm you, but at the same time don't be pushing it down. And if you can find this balance, often the grief and the negative, and this goes for everything in life, not just breakups, the negative feelings that you experience from loss or emotional pain or financial pain or whatever, usually it's some kind of loss that causes these things. You just appreciate the thing for what it was and what you had, and integrate the lessons that you've learned from it, and treat that pain as a necessary consequence, and move on with your life, and just let it do its thing, and then it'll leave you alone. And not only will you be a stronger, healthier person at the end of it, you won't be holding on to this negative thing, and you won't be directing negative feelings and intentions and energy toward other people, which is also unhealthy, because anything you put out ultimately ends up coming back to you. All energy returns to source, man, whether you believe that or not. So that's my advice on like the feeling angry part of it. As for looking for closure, a lot of the time when we're looking for closure, it's either you just want validation from that person again, or you're like chemically addicted to them, so you're feeling like you need something from them, so you want to reach back out in order to get closure. Until your brain believes that this person is no longer an option and that you can't get, like, unless you cut them off, it's going to be a lot harder to actually get over them. So I think it's healthy after a breakup to do a period of, unless you do it in a really fucking healthy way where you like move into being friends and stuff. Even in those cases, for most people, it's often best that you just do radio silence. So you go, okay, for the next 6 months, we don't talk to each other. And then if we still want to be friends after that, or we want to have a closure discussion, then we can do that. And in that period, you're solving out all your own issues and you're getting over all the overwhelming emotions. And then if you do end up having that conversation and getting closure or whatever it is, or becoming friends or whatever it is, it comes from a far healthier place because you've both had the time to really parse out how you feel about things. Whereas if you just go straight into it's messy and it's complicated, and then people get back together and they break up again. There's too many emotions involved to make real rational decisions. Let me go back to the post, see if there's anything else here. Yeah, so feeling like she's the villain, it's not worth it, man. Even if she did bad things, take it as a lesson and integrate it rather than pushing out negative things onto other people. Like you poison the water, everybody gets killed, you know. As for getting over the breakup, like I say, integrate it and just move on from it. And it can take time, especially if this is like an early life relationship, or if this is something that you haven't experienced too many times before. It does get easier with time. But breakups fucking suck. You felt like an intense, overwhelming. It's like someone's died. It's a thing of loss, and it can take time to go over that and just recognize that as a healthy thing. But also, like, move on and start. Like, if it's hitting your self-worth, for example, go out and start meeting other people and doing things that bring you a sense of self, so that you're not so dependent on the feelings that she was giving you in order to make you feel good. I didn't say this in the best way, but that's my point. It's like most people in relationships, they feel the other person completes them, and they add something to their life that they're not getting elsewhere. And when that gets taken away, it's like a piece of you is lost, and it's very hurtful. And you need to do the work that and build that up and bring other sources, not necessarily other people, but other things into your life that cultivate a sense of self-worth and self-love, so that it's not affecting you so much and for so long. I think that probably covers it. Anton, you want to add anything to this?
No, I do have a question that I want to ask about this. Would you recommend or advise people to get back together?
I think we might have lost Anton. Unless my audio's just fucked up. Hold on. Keep talking.
I can see you.
Yeah, I can see you talking, but I can't hear you, which means my audio's fucked up. Give me a second.
All right.
Let me see if
I'm going to keep on talking just in case.
Keep talking. Yeah, I've lost my desktop audio. Okay, that's not fun. Technical difficulties. Give me a 30-second break to fix this. Yeah. Keep talking if you can. No. Okay, that's not ideal. What the fuck? I don't know what to do now. All right, let me try restarting my audio interface. Testing. Okay, I should get some like oh, I hear you now. There we go. I restarted the audio interface. We're good. I should get some like hold music or something to play when shit like that happens. Like,
that would be so funny.
Just like a thing. We'll be right back. Sorry, do you have anything to add to that?
I had a question that popped in my mind. Would you recommend people to get back together after like a long-term serious relationship for like 1 year, 2 year, where both people saw their mistakes and they think they were able to fix it? Or would you say like, in most cases, I wouldn't recommend?
In most cases, I definitely. I think breakups happen for a reason. Usually, it's a sign of incompatibility. If it's coming from a completely non-emotional, like obviously you have emotional feelings for each other, and a lot of times people get back together because those emotional like bonds are very strong, and so it pulls people back together from that. Like it's filling the hole again with that other person, even though that they're not the right person. And so if you're both really on your shit, and like the incompatibility were things that could be worked on, and they have been worked on, and it's not just like a temporary, oh, I swear I'll change, I love you so much, let's get back together kind of thing, then it can. I've seen examples where it does work, but most of the time it doesn't, and you're just deluding yourself if you think it will. Like breakups happen for a reason. And most of the time when the relationship's over, it's over. And the reason that people get back together is for unhealthy, emotionally rooted reasons. And relationships should be a balance of both emotion and intuition and logic and reason. And so if you're getting back together, you really need to evaluate, like, is this the right person? And also the reasons that you broke up will affect it as well. Like, did you break up because you thought you were going to go get something else, but really this person was actually good for you? Or were there systemic problems in the relationship that made it an incompatible bad experience? That's a very individual question, I think, and I can't really give a generalized answer besides to say that most of the time it's not going to work out.
Okay.
If you break up once, you're probably going to break up again. Just the same as people that cheat once are probably going to cheat again.
I see what you mean. My next question is again about the same friend that I was having a discussion with. And she basically knows this guy for like 3-4 years already. They have been very good friends. They met each other at work. And she has a crush on him. She thinks it's mutual, but she's not sure yet. And she is so afraid to ask him because it's like not her task, she thinks.
Right.
It's up to the guy. But she's so scared that if she opens up, it's going to be super weird. And it's going to ruin the friendship. So her decision is just not to ask it. And what would your advice be to her, or what should she do? Should she just keep it a secret, or
no? Fuck no. This is a really common concern. People are like, I mean, it's another fucking excuse. They're like, oh, if I do this, it'll ruin the friendship and all this. And maybe it will. But in the cases that it ruins the friendship, it's usually so. We've talked about the friend zone before, and I'll go kind of into that now. In most cases, when expressing feelings ruins a friendship, it's because one person has always had that feeling, and their intentions for getting into the friendship in the first place were to eventually try and date this person. And that's subversive, manipulative nonsense, and it leads to really bad, destructive behavior, right? That's usually what fucks up friendships. If you guys have been friends for a long time and your feelings are deepening for each other, and you think it's happening the other way around, and you're not just deluding yourself, and you're like, okay, I think and even if it is one-sided, if you can express these things in a non-expectational, healthy way, like if this girl goes to this guy and goes, look, I know we've been friends for a while, or colleagues for a while, or whatever it is, I am developing stronger feelings for you. I really don't want this to fuck up our friendship. I genuinely value you as a friend, and I would be comfortable staying friends, but I have to be honest with you and express this to you. How do you feel about it? What's wrong with that, right? As a guy, if you heard that, how are you going to respond? Are you ever going to feel uncomfortable with that?
No, I personally wouldn't. And that's exactly what I told her as well. But
yeah, and most people wouldn't. And like there is a very small chance that it fucks up the friendship, but if it does, it's because the other guy's an asshole. like if that fucks up the friendship, there's something up with him that is causing that, and it was probably best that this came to the surface anyway. Like I say this all the time. Things are only weird if you make them weird. Things are only awkward if you make them awkward. If you're honest and upfront with people, things very, very rarely go wrong. And using the preframe, like I said, and expressing your concern to people. Like if she just goes like, hey, cutie pie, and grabs his dick or whatever, that's weird. That could fuck up the friendship. But if she goes to him and goes like, look, this is how I'm feeling. This is my concern. I don't want it to fuck up our friendship, blah, 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 blah. And then they end up having a conversation about it. Even if it doesn't lead to a relationship, it'll probably actually strengthen the friendship. Yeah, and then she gets her. If it turns out he's not into her, she can move on. She can get her mental closure and stop thinking about it and move on, and vice versa. Or even better, he goes, yeah, I'm feeling that way as well. And she might be questioning it because again, it is his responsibility to be doing this most of the time. Like if their friendship is deepening, he's the one that should take up his fucking cojones and be like, hey, let's do something about this. But again, as we talked about at the beginning of the stream, most guys are not capable of doing that in this day and age, or they're capable of it, but they refuse to do it. They're willfully stuck in their fucking fear and not ever pushing past that. And unfortunately, that does mean that it's not the woman's responsibility, but if she wants to push things forward, she's going to have to take some initiative and take that masculine role, at least in the beginning. And I actually want to go back to something that the thing we were talking about earlier about women taking the lead. I've had women say to me, and my friend that I was talking about earlier said this as well. She's like, well, I don't want to take the lead and initiate the beginning of the relationship because I want a man that takes charge within a relationship. And a lot of feminine women do want that. They want a guy to lead them. And my response to that was, just because he's not willing to take the initiative in the beginning doesn't mean that once he feels safe within a relationship, he won't be comfortable doing that. And yes, I do think that men should be doing that more in their lives in general, and that is more conducive to good relationships and friendships and all of this stuff. But just because a guy won't take the initiative to come and talk to you because he's too scared doesn't mean that within the safety of a relationship he won't do that. It doesn't mean that he's necessarily a quote unquote bitch, you know. Although I do see a problem with a lot of guys are not embracing their masculine qualities, and they're sitting in this like feminine submissive mindset, and then as a result women take over the masculine role in a relationship and neither of them's fucking happy about it. But that's another story.
Would you have some tips or ways for guys to become more masculine?
I mean, first of all, I want to make it clear that I don't necessarily think a man has to be masculine and a woman has to be feminine. I think there is a spectrum and a sort of bell curve. And most men tend towards the masculine side of that bell curve. And you could call it energy, you could call it biology, you could call it whatever you want. And most women go towards the feminine side of that. I think it's a nature thing and it's also a spiritual thing. There is a yin to the yang. There is an up to the down, left to the right. Everything in reality is polar and gendered. And they tend towards opposite ends. And opposite doesn't mean unequal. Like there's feminine qualities and masculine qualities, and they bind together well and create this nice soup. And I think it's important to figure out where you sit on that spectrum and find someone that's equally compatible. Like, I like very feminine, submissive women. Not that they just give in to me in all ways, but like I take control, I make the decisions, they do what I ask them to, and it's not because I'm dominating the relationship or I tell them what to do all the time, but it's because their feminine quality wants to submit to me. They want to be led. They want to just go, okay, the guy makes the decisions. I think that in most things, and again, this is a heavy generalization, and this is a kind of for some reason controversial thing to say in this day and age, but I think in terms of things that are physical and logical, on average, men are far better. On things that are emotional and intuitive, on average, women are far better. And there are masculine qualities to women and there are feminine qualities to men. Like I'm a highly emotional guy. I consider that to be quite a feminine quality. And I think most men don't feel the kind of depth of emotion that a woman does. They're not as intuitive as women. Vice versa, most women are not as physically strong and capable as men, and they don't think in such a logical problem-solving A to B kind of way. Things are far more fluid and intuitive. And both of these come with their own strengths and weaknesses. And so to be a more masculine man, quote unquote, first of all, evaluate, is that something that you even want? Does that fit into your way of being? Is that something that you feel is natural? Or do you just feel outside societal pressure to be that way? For me, I've always felt like, oh, let's play with guns and fucking swords and like think about the Roman Empire. And like, it's like, I want a woman in my life that's going to submit to me. And I want to, and I like when I think I want to take care of people, I view that in a gather resources and make sure people are secure kind of way. I'm like, I want to build big fucking walls and put a family inside it and protect them with guns. Like that's my natural inclination is start gathering resources and money and use that to take care of the people in my life and defend them physically and financially, right? And I think that is a symptom of the way that men look at the world, which is or the masculine looks at the world, which is in terms of resources. Like there was a study that was done, and I can't remember where it was from. I could maybe find it and pull it up or post it somewhere, but it was the same area of a man's, and this could be bullshit, this is just something I read somewhere that I can't really remember the source for, so please fact check me on this, don't just take my word for it. There was a study that was done that said that when a man sees a beautiful woman, the same part of his brain lights up as sees like a fast car or a pile of money or whatever. And and it was like a feminist blog or something, and they said that the conclusion that they came to was, oh, men treat women like objects. And no, it's not it's not that the masculine sees the feminine as an object or men see women as objects. It's that the masculine frame is to view the entire world as resources, as like, yeah, you want the beautiful woman next to you because it's like a societal thing and it gives you status and reason. Like we want to, we're like the fucking magpie grabbing shiny things, you know? It's the way that we're wired. And it's not that the man can't love you and have emotional depth and all these things. It's just that's the lens through which we view the world generally. And I am massively generalizing here, and I don't think all people think like this. I just think this is like a masculine frame, right? And it's how I've always felt about things. Maybe that makes me a bad person, but I don't think so. And vice versa, when I speak to women about how they look at things, it's like it's far more emotional and intuitive, and it's far more about how things make them feel rather than what those things represent on the physical plane. Does that make sense? I'm not explaining this the best way, but I think that makes sense. And even down to like your societal role. It's like I have conversations with not even women that I was dating, like female friends of mine. Like if we're walking down the street and someone comes up with a big fucking knife, what's your first instinct? And she goes, run away. She goes, yeah, my first instinct is to do this and stand in front. I don't want to get stabbed. I'd really rather not get stabbed. But if one of us is going to get stabbed, I'd rather it was me. And it's like if I'm walking down the street with someone, we're holding hands, I always want to be on the side of the road with the car. Because if someone's going to get hit by a car, I'd rather it was me, right? And it's like, I don't want to get hit by a car. I don't want to get fucking stabbed. But if I have to make the choice between me and the woman doing that, it's me. And so it's like, you are something I need to protect, right? And that to me is a masculine quality. And I've met very few women that feel that way. And so that sort of confirms to me that this, and I'm not just like going off of fucking red pill rhetoric and shit. I'm going off of my direct experience with the world and how I feel about things and how feminine women around me have said that they feel about things. And so, yeah, my advice to be a masculine man or whatever, first of all, is this something that you even feel is natural? And if it is, just tune into what you naturally feel. I don't think these are things you need to look for outside sources to tell you who you are and what you want to be. And I think that's honestly a massive problem in today's society, is everybody is looking outside of themselves to tell them who they should be. And to go, oh, I need to do this job and follow this path and buy this fucking perfume so I smell this way to attract this kind of woman, drive this kind of car. Like, fuck all of that. It's all meaningless bullshit. Don't let marketers and advertisers and me tell you who you should be, because it is like, if you don't know who you are, if you don't know what you want to be, that's a symptom that you are externalizing your reality and you're putting everything outside of yourself and looking for that to direct you. Shut off all of that shit and spend some time learning and getting to know yourself, and then you will naturally feel what comes up. So if you are a masculine man, you want to be more masculine, tune into what you feel in here and it'll start coming out. Right? Because if you're looking outside for everything, it's like you don't let me tell you who you are, you know? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, totally.
And then if you find like this is the way that so here's where the difference lies, because I'm saying don't let other people tell you who you are. If you're thinking, well, I this is the way that I feel and these are the things that I want, then start finding people that have those things and following them. So if you're like, oh, I want to be more masculine, whatever, you should know exactly what that means to you. I don't need to tell you how to be masculine. You already fucking know. But if you're like, well, part of that means that I need to go and talk to women in this and I don't know how to do that, or you know how to do it, but you can't get over the fear, that's when people like me can help. Because my speciality is getting people over fear and putting them in social situations and getting them the results that they want from their social and dating life. That's where I specialize. I can't tell you how to be a better man, but I can tell you how to get the things that you want, if that makes sense. What were you going to say there, Anton?
Oh, I was going to say that I feel quite masculine myself, but sometimes when I'm like in a group and there has to be a decision that has to be made, I feel like I kind of want to, but I'm fearful of making the decision. What would some tips be that you could give me for that example?
Well, first of all, people talk about leadership as a masculine quality, and I think that it is, but I don't think that every man needs to be a leader. And in most cases, it would be very bad if every guy was trying to lead. Like, I think if you put a group of men together, they'll very quickly figure out who's in charge. And the guy that's in charge will start making the decisions, and the people that are not in charge will go, yeah, it makes sense. He's in charge because he has this qualification. Like, there's usually very little squabbling. And then if there is squabbling, like there'll be fights and there's problems. But generally, you get a group of like 5 to 6 men, they're going to very quickly figure out a hierarchy. So it might not even be that you need to be making decisions in every situation. And a lot of the time, I think as men, it's not necessarily that they want to be in charge. I think in your relationships, like in every situation you're in, there is some sort of hierarchy of charge. There just has to be. I mean, there is, you know, you can do things in an equal way, but things usually work better when one person is like, it's the reason jobs have managers. You can't just do communism at work, right? It doesn't work. There is a hierarchy to things because that is the most efficient, best structure for actually getting shit done. That doesn't mean you can't have meetings and converse with people. Like any good employer, any good leader will take the advice of the people beneath them. but there is always going to be someone in charge. So first of all, it doesn't even you don't necessarily have to be making these decisions. But if people are looking for you to make decisions, just make a decision. Like if you're wrong, you'll learn from it, and if you're right, great, you're right. But if you don't have experience like making decisions and taking charge on things, it's like with anything else in your life. If you're inexperienced in something, then yeah, you're going to have problems. So just start doing it more and fuck it up. And then after, like the path to, you can't just jump from A to Z immediately. You got to go through all the steps. And if it's fear, get over it in the same way you get over any other fear. Expose yourself to it. Do the thing. If people are looking for you for leadership, you better fucking step up. You know? Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah, you don't have to be in charge, and if you are in charge, just start making decisions. Because one of two things is going to happen: either you make the right decision, which is great, or you make the wrong decision and learn. And if you make enough wrong decisions, someone else will take charge. And it's just things will figure themselves out. We worry too much about the consequences of shit, which is fair because life is a series of choices and consequences. But if you worry too, if you spend too much time thinking about the implications of your actions, it stops you from actually taking actions and learning. The way you actually get results in life is by fucking up. You get good results, you learn from it. You get bad results, you learn from it. Just start doing things, and it'll figure itself out. You know. Like the baby bird, in a lot of cases, will throw the mother will throw the baby bird out the nest to see if it can fucking fly. That's nature. You got to just start doing stuff and figure it out.
Nature is
and I know that's not as neat. And like people come to answer, and for some things I can give you very definite A to Z answers, and there are things that require that. But there are a lot of things in life that are just like figure it the fuck out, you know. And people come looking for. I think I get people coming into the community all the time and they ask questions on certain things, and then I give them an answer and they don't like the answer because it's not easy. It's like, yeah, you got to figure. It's like even with the social stuff, a lot of the social stuff involves, okay, let's go out. I'll put you in a safe environment. You'll overcome your fear. You'll speak to people, and we'll start getting you through this process. And my job as a coach is not to tell you exactly what to say and do and fix your problem for you. It's to be there, pushing you and navigating and helping you get over your own internal bullshit so that you can do the things that you want. And a lot of people just don't like that. They're afraid of it. They don't want to do it because it's not simple. It's like they come and they want an answer that's just like, oh, that's exactly what I need to do and I'll get exactly this result. Perfect, let's do it. But that's not how life works. That's not how life works. And the sooner you realize that, the farther you will go, in my opinion.
You touched on a thing here that many people overthink.
Yep.
And I think this is the reason that many action is not taken. Just like because of not being able to get over the first fear and exposing yourself, and then you keep on overthinking and making it so much bigger in your head than it actually is.
Yeah, you got to take risk. There's potential negative consequence to everything. I can't remember who said this. It might have been Jim Rohn. It's all there's like the video. I'll see if I can find it. So it's all risky. Living is risky. Breathing is risky. Yeah. You're all gonna die. It's like you don't get out of life with all of your chips. You're fucking all in already, right? Nobody leaves the game alive. It's all risky, right? And yeah, you make good decisions, you make bad decisions, but unless you do something really fucking stupid, unless you're like, I want to see what it's like to jump off this 10-story building and see if I live. Like, yeah, that's really fucking stupid. You're probably not going to make it out of that. But most mistakes that people make, you can recover from. And you recover better because you learn from it. Like there's another, it's like you do, and again, I saw this on fucking Instagram or something, so I'm going to seem intelligent for a second, but really I just watched a reel. It was showing that if you take two balls and you put one down a path that goes like this, and you put another just down a straight path, the one with the ups and downs will get to the bottom faster, right? So if you have lives of ups and downs, that's what actually propels you forward. And even learning, it's not a straight upward curve. It's, oh, I'm learning, oh, I fucked up. Oh, I'm learning, oh, I fucked up. And that's how you learn. It's how everything works. Life is a series of infinite choices and consequences, and you integrate all of that, whether it be good or bad. You know, or you can take the safe option and you won't get as far as the people who take risks. All successful people take risks, whether it be in dating or finance or whatever the fuck it is. You have to take risks in life. And if you're spending your entire life looking at your fears and going, what if, you're just going to be a mediocre fucking person forever. You have to do things. You have to take risks, and you have to realize, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to die. The absolute worst case is that I fuck up and I take a hit to my self-worth and I learn from it. But that'll take you so much farther than trying to take the easy, safe path in life. Because there is no easy, safe path. And this is a Jim Rohn quote. It's we must all suffer one of two pains: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The difference is that the pain of discipline weighs ounces and the pain of regret weighs tons.
It also gives such a jolt of energy whenever you take a risk.
Mm. Yeah.
Either succeeding or failing. For example, in an approach, even if you get rejected, it feels amazing because you got over your initial fear, and that's what counts, not the rejection itself.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, approaching, skydiving, whatever the fuck it is, as soon as you are over the precipice of that feeling of fear, it's the best feeling ever. Because you have conquered yourself, you know? Even if you don't get the result that you wanted, the fact that you did the thing will make you feel so much better.
Exactly.
And we've both experienced
I have
this. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, many, many times. I have another question.
Sure.
If you coach clients, what would you say is the biggest misconception for them once they start coaching with you?
Biggest misconception? Like the biggest thing they think is a thing but isn't?
Yeah.
Right. Let me think about that for a second. I mean, I guess it comes back to fear. The biggest misconception. Oh yeah, no, that's it. The biggest misconception is I can't, or it wouldn't work for me, or whatever bullshit thing your ego is coming up with to tell you why you shouldn't do the thing that you want to do. So if it's approaching, it's the biggest misconception, and it's not even a misconception, it's the biggest excuse that clients come up with is it wouldn't work for me for XYZ reason. And the red pill guys do this, the black pill guys do this, the incel guys do this. They all go, I can't get what I want because, and they come up with some excuse for it. And it is always 100% of the time just an excuse not to take action. Right? They think they're acting. They're like, oh, well, I went on Tinder and I did this case study where I took a picture of a really attractive GQ model, and then I took a picture of my fucking potato-looking ass, and he got way more likes than I did. And that means that all women just want attractive men, and I can't ever have what I want in my life, so I'm going to give up. Fuck you. Fuck you. It's just an excuse. And this sounds really harsh, and people are going to disagree. Like I put out an Instagram reel. I've deleted it because I want to make better content. But I put out a clip from that pickup video where it was all about social confirmation bias, and it was talking about like all the red pill guys, the pickup guys, whatever. They bias themselves into selecting for certain, like there's every kind of person in the world, and they bias themselves into selecting for certain kinds of people, and they get the results they expect to get, which is that they get rejected and people don't like them because they believe that that's what's going to happen, and so they act in that way, and so those are the results that they get. So they bias themselves for those people, and then that reaffirms their worldview that they can't have what they want, and they just negatively spiral into a self-fulfilling fucking prophecy. And someone commented on that, and he went, wrong, see a therapist, don't put out shit video content, blah, 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 blah. It's like, you've taken time out of your day to comment on my video with your fucking negativity. And it's like, like there's no introspection. There's no like, oh, maybe this is my fault. It's like, no, it's everyone else's fault. It's society's fault. Fuck this guy that's making a video about it who's spent the last, like what, since I was 14, how old am I now? 27, the last 13 years of his life, like hardcore studying this stuff and getting the results for not only himself, but hundreds of other people. Fuck that guy. He's wrong. Me, sitting in my fucking basement being an incel, I'm right because the internet says so, and I'm in this echo chamber of other people that haven't bathed in 6 fucking days, and we all just sit inside pissing in a bottle and playing Fortnite, but no woman's ever gonna love any of us, and this guy's wrong. Fuck you. That's the biggest misconception is I can't have what I want. You can have what you want. You just have to get over your own fucking limiting beliefs. Like the things that you have in life are a direct reflection of your internal state. And I don't even mean the things that you think. You can think I'm a millionaire all day and never be. It's the things that your subconscious fundamentally believes, because that's what controls the way that you behave. Right? And the way that you behave and the way that you put yourself out into the world and the energy that you put out is exactly what comes back. So if you're someone that looks ugly as fuck or whatever, and you're like, oh, no women could ever love me because I did this Tinder experiment, which told me because I competed on the physical level and I only went for the women that are only looking for the most physically attractive guys. Like, of course you didn't get results, but you're like, what you're not doing is going out and talking to people and working on your confidence and like, yeah, working out and getting a fresh haircut and doing everything you can to actually improve yourself. Because it's hard to do that, and they might not realize it's always a subconscious thing. It's always, I don't actually want to do the fucking work, and I don't want to put myself out there, and I'm scared of the consequences, and I don't like facing rejection. So I'm just going to tell the world and tell myself that everyone is. It's the automatic rejection thing. You're scared of rejection, and so rather than going out and getting it, you just tell yourself that you're already rejected, because then you can give up, and it's really fucking sad. And every single time someone comes and they have these fucking mentalities and we go out and we start talking, it doesn't matter who they are, fucking nerdy autistic guy with greasy hair or big fucking alpha they all get the same results. They go out, they find compatible people and they make shit happen. It's all in here. So yeah, biggest misconception is I can't have what I want. And
that was definitely mine as well.
It comes from fear and ego. Yeah, you've experienced this. I'm in a place now. I don't say this to brag. I say this to prove my point, because I do not place my value as a man on the number of women that I've slept with. But I have had more, not only serious relationships, even if they only lasted a couple of years, and most of them being open relationships, which is how I have the other statistic as well. But it's like, I've not only had more serious relationships, but more like casual encounters. I've slept with more women than most people do in their entire lifetime, right? 10 years ago, I used to look at myself in the mirror and tell myself I was disgusting and unlovable and that no one could ever want me. And now people look, it's like, oh, relatively handsome guy. That's why you get the results. It's no, I changed my mindset. Because who I was back then didn't get any fucking results because I didn't believe it was possible. And then I did the work and I started getting the results. And anyone can do that. Anyone can do that. It's like there's a guy, and I can't remember, I think his name on YouTube is like Never Give Up or something. And he's like, yeah, like he was a self-described fucking incel or whatever, but his thing was never give up. And then some woman posted on his video saying, I think you're kind of cute, actually. And then there's like this whole compilation of them meeting, and I think he lives in Sweden. It's like she came to Sweden, they got married, and it's like even this guy that believed, like, he just didn't fucking give up. He said, no, I am going to get what I want. And guess what? He got it. The only thing that holds you back is yourself. And it's really fucked up, because the longer people exist in that state, the harder it becomes for them to get out of it. Because if your whole life, the thing that has been holding you back is you, it's so hard to face that. It's like if you've been miserable for the past decade of your life or longer, God forbid, and then someone like me comes along and they say, no, you can have what you want. You just need to change your mentality. It's your fault that you haven't got the results, not anybody else's. That kind of responsibility and the kind of guilt and shame and like, oh shit, it's on me. One of two things happens. Either they take responsibility and they go, and it becomes an empowering thing, and they go, and it propels them forward, and they use the anger at themselves to actually get results. Or they go, I can't possibly face that. It's far easier for me to keep existing in the lie and the fucking mental prison that I've created for myself than to accept that I am my own jailer. Because what does that mean, you know?
Yes, like I've had this there's a question so many times in my head, or like more saying, wait, you can actually do that. Like, and it's so true, because
you've said that to me directly in some of the things that we've done in the conversations. It's like, wait, I can do that? So, yeah. Sorry, and you go.
And it's all about my old way of thinking. Like in my old way of thinking, this was not possible to do. No, you cannot casual date. People don't like casual dating. It's just not meant to be. And once you start taking action and communicate directly to people about your wants and needs, you're surprised at how many people think the same way as you do.
Yeah. If you think so that way, so does somebody else. Like nobody is that unique, you know? Whatever you want, there are other people that want the same thing. Whatever you're attracted to, there are other people that, like, there's fucking whole groups of tens of thousands of people that dress up in fucking fursuits and go to conventions, and you think that you can't have a decent relationship. No one could possibly be attracted to me. There are people that fuck dogs, and you think that no one wants you. You know? Come on, be realistic.
That's so funny. But it is true. It's all comes down to the way you think.
Yeah.
And also, of course, a few more things about, you know, being direct and being vulnerable. Like, that's all stuff that comes with it. But
that's actually a good. I've never thought about that before. Like, next time someone's like, "Oh, no one could ever want me," there are people that fuck dogs. You think you're worse than that? And it's not to put people down. I don't want to encourage the frame that, like, oh, I'm beneath people and I'm worse than that. But it's like, if you believe that you're at the bottom of society, or like there's a lid for every pot. And rather than, like, honestly, and this is harsh, there are people that are like generally unattractive. Like, some people get the shitty end of the stick, and they lose the fucking genetic lottery, and they come into life. Maybe they're poor, or they're missing limbs, or whatever. Or they have a really fucking ugly face, and it's like, that's the hand that you've been dealt. And you can do one of two things. You can either go, no one's ever going to love me, blah, 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 and all this bullshit, just because general society doesn't like you. Or you can go, no matter who I am, no matter my position, no matter what the fuck is going on, there is always somebody out there that is going to fit into that. Always. It's a law of nature. There's a yin to every fucking yang. Go find it. And often what holds people back is they have unrealistic, like, some people do have unrealistic expectations. It's like, oh, I'm this guy that sits at home and doesn't work out and fucking is this, like, slovenly pig that just eats pizza and plays fucking Fortnite and smokes pot and lives in my parents' basement. And I want some fucking model level girl, and just because she's not going to give me her attention. By the way, dating models is not as good as it seems. They're usually quite mentally fucked up because of the lifestyle that they live in, because everything's given to them because of their looks. But that's a story for another time. It's not as good as you think it is. These people, like, they have extreme expectations. They're not doing any of the work to bridge that gap. And then they're like, oh, well, I can't get what I want, so fuck everybody. Like, be realistic as well. And I'm not even talking on, like, a looks based thing, but on an actual compatibility level, because the looks doesn't play into it as much as you think it does. Like, you can find people attractive that aren't as physically attractive as you think, and that especially works the other way around for women onto men. Not everybody, and it's the black pill thing. Like, women only care about looks. There are women that select for looks, and it is a foot in the door. If you are more physically attractive, you will get better results easier. But that does not mean that if you're not, like, conventionally attractive, that you can't find very attractive women that are into you. It's about how you make people feel. If you work on your shit and you become, like, a genuinely wonderful person that's like that fucking never give up guy. He's like, oh, I'm physically unattractive. Did he let that fuck up his mentality? No, he went, I'm never gonna give up, and he worked on himself, and he put himself out there, and guess what? He got the results. And I've seen this on the boot camps. I've taken physically unattractive guys that are, like, genuinely wonderful people on the inside, and they go up and talk to people, and maybe off the bat the woman's like, oh shit, what's this? But then they get talking and they're like, oh shit, we're really compatible, and then suddenly the woman's attracted to him and it all goes well. We had a client, I didn't coach him personally, but the previous company I worked with had a client that was this, like, big fat overweight dude, missing teeth, whatever, like, old dude, ended up dating a model, and they're like, what did you find attractive in this guy? Oh, I really like the way that he acts, and honestly his physical stature reminds me of my father, and that makes me feel safe. And there you go. It's all internal. It's all fugazi. It's all fucking bullshit. You can have exactly what you want if you just try.
It is beautiful to realize this.
It's so free.
Once you live in the old mindset, and it's like, wow.
It doesn't mean it's going to be
Life's
easy.
Different now.
It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. No. There's a lot of shitheads and incompatible people out there. But if you put in the work to find the things that you want and you look for compatibility, you will find it. Every time. I've never seen someone fail.
Exactly. It's all about how much action you put in as well. And if you put the work into yourself.
It's the effort.
If you genuinely take a lot of action, wow, you can reach so much.
Yeah, 100%. All right. I think this is a good place to wrap up after that big, long fucking rant. This has been Off the Cuff Live. If you want to ask a question or call into a future stream, you can go to discord.gg/self-improvement. There's a link down in the description on YouTube and Rumble or wherever you're watching this. If you go in there, there's a section called Off the Cuff. There's a section called Submissions. Also within that server, I have a bunch of posts on dating, productivity, social stuff, mostly the dating and social stuff because that's my bread and butter. I am a dating and social coach. But if you go in there, there's some free posts. There's like a members section. You can take one-on-one coaching calls and join the weekly things after this. After this stream ends, about an hour later, there's a like a weekly group coaching call for people. You can ask your questions, you can come in, you can read the posts, you can see what you want. If you go to the main YouTube channel, there's a video called The Problem with Pickup, which goes off why you shouldn't go into that ideology. Is there anything else I said shill? I have a affiliate program. If you want to refer other people into membership, you get a 50% lifetime recurring subscription. I also, if you want to take clips from any of this and use it for your own purposes, if you think it's good enough for that, go ahead. I have like a free use fucking on all my video content. I have been Ben Campbell, and this has been Off the Cuff, and Anton has been Anton, and I don't know, I'm just fucking waffling. Thank you for joining, and we'll be back at next week at 5 p.m. local to Sofia. And I'm going to give it about 5 seconds before I click the stop stream button so that it doesn't cut me off.